How you doing? Let's talk night terrors. Hey everyone, it's Christine and welcome back to Paranormal TV. Today I want to talk to you guys about my experience with night terrors. Now, I've had night terrors since I've been very, very little. I still have them once in a while. It's not nearly as bad as when I was little. When I was little, I had them multiple times a week. Sometimes I would have them every night. And during that week, I have hurt myself from it, and I've also hurt other people from my night terrors. I am not a doctor, so if you are experiencing night terrors, I highly recommend that you see a doctor about it, because as I just said, night terrors can be affecting you physically. They've affected me physically, so they can be dangerous and they're no fun and they are tiring. Night terrors often get confused with nightmares, and they are two completely different things. A night terror, you are not dreaming. Night terrors are actually a form of a sleeping disorder. So when you're having a night terror, you will partially wake up. You're not fully awake, you're kind of in that state, half awake, half asleep. You partially awake to a form of terror. Children often have night terrors. It's pretty common. There's usually no underlying cause for night terrors. It's still good to speak to a doctor about it, especially if they're really bad. I would recommend that is what you do, but typically there's no underlying cause. Oh goodness. It can be caused by anxiety, which was my cause for night terrors. As a child, I had pretty bad anxiety. I still have pretty bad anxiety as an adult. I'm not gonna lie, I typically don't talk about my anxiety issues, but they're there and they're bad. However, I definitely handle them a lot better now as an adult. There's so many background noises in this video. I'm sorry guys. Lace keeps sighing. There's all these sirens. Like I was saying, as a child, I had pretty bad anxiety, and I still have pretty bad anxiety as an adult. Now, the only difference is that I can kind of somewhat control my anxiety. I'm not that great at it, but I can control it a lot better than I could when I was little. I had just a lot going on as a kid that gave me terrible anxiety, and it definitely came out in my sleep. As a child, they're a little bit more common. As an adult, they do happen, but usually as an adult there will be more of a cause. So it could be anxiety, it could be substance abuse. So if you suffer from night terrors, your fight or flight system is actually activated, and night terrors occur on your deepest stage of sleep, which is usually more sirens, which is usually the first half of the sleep cycle. Oh my gosh! So what separates a night terror and a nightmare is that you are partially awake, like I said, so you're kind of like half awake, half asleep in the night terror, and in the nightmare, you're fully dreaming. When you have a night terror, you often become unaware of your surroundings, and when you wake, you may not even remember that you had a night terror. This was sometimes the case for me. Sometimes I knew, sometimes I didn't. So when I didn't know I had a night terror, other people would tell me that I would, because I would become so violent in my sleep that it would awaken people in other rooms, or maybe I was sleeping over a friend's house and I had one, and they would tell me that I had it, and it often scared people. Now, a lot of people grow out of night terrors. They're a little bit more common when you're 12 and under. I definitely had them more often when I would say I was about 7 to 17. I was a little bit more uncommon, but I had a lot of issues going on that caused my anxiety to be really bad when I was a teenager. It was probably the worst as a teenager. I had some awful things happen to me in this time period, which I won't go into in this video, and probably I will never go into because it's very personal to me, but I did have some really bad things happen as a teenager that really affected me, so it kind of continued for me, and my anxiety just continued to struggle. A lot of things that happen in night terrors: you might sit up, you will physically fight, you will scream, you will cry. People have claimed that they felt like something was sitting on their chest. You become unaware of your surroundings. Sometimes you forget that you've had one. Some people sleepwalk. You might have really wide eyes. When you open your eyes, you will feel intense fear. Because of the fear, you could sweat, your blood pressure could be elevated, your heart rate could be rapid. It might be hard for you to fully wake up. You might kick and you might punch, you might do anything violent like that, you know, scratch, slap, basically like if you're fighting. Did I say scream and cry? I don't even remember because I had to stop sometimes from all these noises. So like we said, they're common in children. You can have anxiety issues, you have a substance abuse problem that could cause it, but there are also other things that can cause night terror. You could just be stressed out. You don't have to have anxiety attacks or anything like that, but you could just be stressed out. It could be a very stressful period in your life and you get stressed out so much you have a night terror. You might be sick and have a fever. Any changes to your sleep schedule or sleep deprivation can cause them as well. Or medications, anything dealing with your head, headaches, migraines, head injuries, things like that, that can also cause it as well. I have read that in adults, night terrors are more severe than in children. This was not the case for myself. For me, my night terrors are more subdued as an adult. Things you have to worry about with having night terrors is sleepwalking, any injuries, and less sleep than what you need. So that can cause a lot of problems in itself when you're sleep deprived. Last time I was sleep deprived, I hallucinated. So if a person's having a night terror, you shouldn't wake them because it can get worse, and this was the case for me. It always got worse. When someone would attempt to wake me, I would get more violent, and you don't want that. So usually when somebody has a night terror, even though they are scary, especially if it's in a child, they are really scary, you can just let them have the night terror, monitor them, make sure they're not getting hurt. When night terror is over, they will normally just go back to sleep. So now I'm going to talk about my experience with night terror. Now we talked about them. My experience with night terrors started when I was pretty young. I would say I noticed it when I did move in with my stepdad and my stepbrother, and my sister got a little older. She got a little meaner towards me. We used to be very close and became a brat, and now we're close again. So, I mean, it came full circle. But, you know, when I was about 7 when I really started to notice them. I might have had them when I was younger. I don't think I did though, because my mom said they came like very out of the blue. So I think all these changes kind of gave me anxiety. I also had a new school suddenly, so I had to start all over. So it was pretty different as a child to go from one thing to this other whole new lifestyle. As a kid, I would get them really often. Like I said, I would get them once a week, twice a week, sometimes every night of the week. It really depends on how stressed out I was as a child. And if I got into an argument with my mom or my stepdad or anything like that, I would have a night terror that night. Now, my night terrors were pretty violent. Everyone is different. Mine were pretty bad, so I would often sit up and I would often punch things, kick things, hit things. I have punched a wall once and had bloody knuckles. I also punched myself in the throat before. That woke me up. Typically, I wouldn't wake from a night terror. I would just go back to sleep after having one. But when I would hurt myself to the extent that I did, I would wake up. So, you know, like I hit a wall really hard and my knuckles got cut and they were bloody. I punched myself in the throat. I felt that. That hurt. I felt that very much, and that woke me up. Something else I would do was if I was sleeping over a friend's house and we were in the same bed, I would hit them. I accidentally kicked my dog once and she bit me. Another thing I would do is I would just sit up and I would scream bloody murder, and I would hear myself, but I wouldn't wake up. And my stepbrother one time, who, you know, we did not get along, and he came running in. So if he came running in because he was nervous, like, it was bad, because normally he'd probably just be like, whatever. So he came in, and I was a very good child. I was very polite. And he came in, he said to me, I felt what I was doing in this particular night. This was one of my worst ones. So I felt what I was doing. I was sitting up, I had a pillow. I took the pillow on, I guess. I pulled it onto my lap, and I was just pounding it as hard as I could, and I was screaming, and I had tears streaming all down my face. And my stepbrother ran in, and he was like, Christine, you're dreaming. And I remember screaming at him, I know, now leave me the hell alone. Now when I was little, I never would even say hell. So, that was a bad one for me. I was sleeping over at my cousin's house one day, and there was 2 beds in their room. So I was on one bed and she was on another, and she told me the next day that I was punching myself in the face. So as you can see, these can be really dangerous, especially for somebody like myself who does have an autoimmune disease that causes her to hemorrhage. I didn't have it when I was little, thankfully, because I probably wouldn't be here. I probably would have killed myself in my sleep. I probably would have gave myself a brain hemorrhage or something. I was so violent in my sleep. One time I remember, I don't remember fighting, but I remember the next day my mom was like, "Who were you fighting in your sleep last night, Christine?" And one thing I would always say is I don't remember dreaming. Well, now that I'm older and I know more about night terrors, I know that you don't dream with a night terror. So I never was dreaming, but a lot of people will think that they're dreaming when they have night terrors. You're not. They'll say like, "I can't remember my dream." Well, that's why you weren't dreaming. So like I said, I've hurt other people and I've hurt myself with my own night terrors. These happened for years, and every once in a while I will still have a night terror. Usually it's under extreme stress. They're way more mild. I might hit every once in a while. Like one time I punched my husband in the face and I punched him down there. I don't do it nearly as much. Typically I might just like smack my pillow or smack my husband a little bit because he's right next to me, so he kind of gets the brunt of it. But I don't physically, like, I'm not as violent anymore. I will cry more now than when I was young. My cousin actually had night terrors, and what she would typically do is she would sit up, eyes wide open, and she would scream, but she wasn't fully awake and she really wouldn't know she was doing it, and it would scare her sister pretty bad. But that's what she would typically do. So for everyone it is different. We all experience different things. For me it was very violent and not a good situation. It's not a good situation for everyone. I would feel extremely exhausted after a night terror. I would feel like I didn't even sleep, so I was often tired from them. And now when I still have them, I still feel a little bit more tired. Now I don't really remember them too much. I'm usually informed when I wake up, like, "You were doing some weird stuff in your sleep, Christine," or "You punched me last night, thank you." No, that was my experience with night terrors. They suck. They really do suck. It was not fun. Like I said, I beat myself up a couple times. I beat other people up a couple times. I accidentally kicked the dog, and I love dogs so much. I love animals so much. I would never hurt an animal willingly. And I kicked her and she bit my foot, and that hurt. If your child is a night terror, I definitely recommend you monitor them and you make sure they're not sleepwalking or possibly hurting themselves, and hopefully they won't do that and they can just end the night terror themselves, because typically what will happen is that your night terror will end and you'll just go back to sleep normally, and a lot of times you won't even remember in the morning. So hopefully that will be a situation and you can just monitor them, because often when someone is woken with night terror or attempted to be woken up with a night terror, it can get worse. That was the situation for me and for a lot of other people that I spoke to about night terrors and about their night terrors. So that would be my recommendation for you guys if you are parents and your child is suffering night terrors. Obviously, if they are starting to hurt themselves or sleepwalk, you are going to probably want to interfere there. If I left anything out about night terrors, please comment down below. Let me know what I left out and let everyone else know what I left out. And if you have an experience that you'd like to share, you can leave that down below. Any questions that you think I'll be able to help you with, you can leave that down below. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you are suffering from a night terror, please go see doctors about it. They might be able to help you, so please go see a doctor if you are suffering from one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.